Hello friends, I got another budget double stack 1911. This time it's the Mac 9 DS. I unintentionally ended up making a whole series of videos on the TSOSH 1911 carry double stack. I'll try to be a little bit better organized and tidy with the videos about this pistol. I plan on only making two. There will also be a video comparing the Mac 9 to the TSOSH in great detail, as the Mac 9 is pretty much a higher trim model of the TSOSH. This first video will be an unboxing, first shots, impressions, and detailed overview of the pistol. The Humble Marksman did a great video on this pistol, which I will link in the description. I pretty much agree with everything he says and recommend checking that out. My second video on this pistol will be an overview of the upgrades I'm going to do to make it as close as possible to a Staccato P. Let's get into it. I guess let's do an unboxing first. We got my 3D printed buddy Eddie Lizard hanging out here with us today. There's a box. And in that box is a soft case, manual, cleaning rod, bore brush, lock, one magazine, two magazines, chamber flag, gun. You get some hex keys. You get a little extra bit of green fiber optic tube. You get an assortment of screws to mount an optic to the optic mounting plate, and it also comes with an extra mainspring housing pin if you want to take this magwell off. I field stripped the pistol, wiped it down, inspected, and re-lubed it. I took it to the range and put about 200 rounds of varying ammo types through it, fed from 3 different brands of magazines. Ha! That gun is so goddamn hot. I just had 2 little reliability issues. It didn't chamber the first round of a full magazine from slide lock, and I had 1 failure to eject. I hate the idea that pistols have break-in periods. I think that's bullshit, but TSOS does say their 1911s have a 200 to 300 round break-in period. I think it generally functioned well, and long term I would not be worried about the reliability based on these first couple hundred rounds. Other than some flyers, which I could feel when I pulled them because of the damn heavy trigger, this put up a pretty nice group at 25 yards from bag support. The barrel lockup is pretty tight, and I feel like this pistol is capable of at least as much mechanical accuracy as I am a shooter. A lot of my comments about this pistol, its features and details, will be largely subjective. These are just my opinions about how this pistol's set up out of the box. It does have a, standard reverse plug and a hollow guide rod, and the guide rod does have a hole in it to put a paper clip or a pin down in there to take it down. I prefer this to a 2-piece guide rod because, in my experience, 2-piece guide rods like to work themselves loose and start coming apart when you're shooting, and that can cause cycling issues. So I guess if you're going to give me a simple full-length guide rod that's not toolless, I'll take this over a 2-piece one. In the box, they actually do give you a little tool to take this thing down, and you do that just like that. This bull barrel does have a Clark Para style ramp, which is common for 9mm 1911s. You can see the feed ramp. It has a little bit of a polish on there, which is nice. For using iron sights, I like a blacked out rear and fiber optic front, so I appreciate this sighting setup. I'll talk more about this sighting setup when I get to optic mounting, though. There's things I don't like about it. It does have a 4-slot Picatinny rail, so you can mount full-size weapon lights to it, like your Streamlight TLR1 and your Surefire X300 series, so that's nice. Next, let's talk about this trigger. The trigger shoe's way too long. I have like large, extra large size hands, and it is too long for me. I don't know who this trigger's for. 95% of people who buy this gun will want to replace this because it is preposterously long. It appears to be an aluminum shoe with a Cerakote finish. It's not anodized. It does have a over travel adjustment screw that was adjusted pretty nicely out of the box. It does not have a provision for pre-travel adjustment. So let's look at this trigger pull here. Heavy take up to a firm wall. There's quite a bit of movement up and down in the trigger right here. I don't really like that. Hard wall. Man, that is a heavy trigger pull. Reset. Since they did adjust the over travel screw from the factory, reset's pretty short, pretty positive. If I control the brake, you can see that there's actually a lot of creep in this trigger pull. So there's the take up, the wall, creep, creep, brake. So this is not a very good trigger. I didn't expect it to be. The trigger in the TSOS, which I bought before this, was also not good. Let's see how heavy this thing is. Almost 6.5 pounds. 6 pounds. Almost 6.5 pounds. So yeah, this is a really, really damn heavy trigger. It's not good. Thumb safeties feel pretty good. A little bit of mush on the bottom there. I really like the profile of them. They're not too wide. They're not too narrow. They feel really good to me. I'm going to leave those. Magazine release feels just fine. I like the size, shape, how far it extends. Of course, I would like some texture on it, but that's easy enough to do or to replace. The slide release feels good to me. I like its size, shape, profile, all that. Beaver tail grip safety, I don't like these big extended grip safeties, but other than that, it feels fine. It's a little bit loose in there, again, to be expected. The disengagement point is much farther in than I would like, but that's easy to adjust. Let's talk about this grip module. The texture is shit. It's not good. It's super slick. Even the checkering on the front and back isn't very grippy. You're probably going to want to stipple this yourself or replace the grip module with like a Springfield Prodigy grip module. It does come with a nice aluminum magwell. Cerakoted aluminum magwell, not anodized. I would have preferred anodized. The magwell is a really nice transition into the opening of the grip module. They got that fit very, very nicely. It does help with reloads and inserting magazines. I'll go ahead and show some magazine base plate compatibility. So this is the magazine it comes with. This is a Staccato 17 round. Good to go. Staccato 20 round. Good to go. Prodigy 17 round. Good to go. Prodigy 20 round. Doesn't like those. They do provide a shorter mainspring housing pin if you want to take this magwell off. All of the base pads on the magazines that fit, they do prevent the magazine from over inserting and smacking your ejector. Let's talk about the optic mounting platform. It comes with this installed out of the box. It is a slide cover plate with a rear sight mounted to it. In the box, it comes with this plate. The same screws that hold this cover plate on hold the optic mounting plate on. This is an RMR footprint. You can see it has a rear sight in a dovetail, and it does come with an assortment of different lengths of 632 RMR mounting screws. The optic mounting plate and the iron sight on it are both steel. The optic cover plate and the iron sight on it are also steel, and they do have a nitrocarburized finish of some sort. They're not Cerakote. So that's all good. You got the hardware to mount the optic plate to the slide and an assortment of hardware to mount your optic to the plate. So this thing does truly come optics ready out of the box for an RMR footprint, which is very nice. When I run a red dot on a pistol, I don't want my backup iron sights taking my attention away from the red dot with a bright fiber optic or something like that. For mounting optics, I would have preferred a blacked out front sight, but I guess I understand why they put the fiber optic one on there, because that is a nicer sighting setup for iron sights if you don't have an optic mounted. With the trusty Holosun 507C mounted, that is how much the rear sight sticks above the body of the optic. You know, I think this optic has a pretty comparable deck height to the RMR as well. General fit, finish, and feel, I mean, it's fine. It's not spectacular. You know, what do you expect for how much this thing costs? Let's take a look at this bull barrel. The fit is not very tight. The hood end of it feels good in the slide, but there's a bit of play. I didn't, really expect it to be a super tight fit bushingless barrel. The slide is, it's got a little bit of looseness to it. Again, this slide to frame fit is very much of a production pistol of this price point, so that tracks. The slide has a nice kind of Browning high power-ish cut on it. It has some slide serrations that are not really that grippy at all. The slide is not super smooth, a little bit gritty, but again, that's to be expected. As typical with a cheap 1911, the slide hangs up on the disconnector there a little bit. You can see there's kind of some rough machining and sharp edges and little burrs left on some parts of the frame. The frame is Cerakote, the slide is nitrocarburized QPQ, the barrel is nitrocarburized QPQ. It does have the billet internals, which I appreciate. They're covered in Cerakote, which I don't like as much as nitride or phosphate coating, but that's fine. I think the recoil spring is too heavy. It comes with a 16-pound one. It is rated for plus P ammo, so that makes sense. I get why they do that, but I think for the majority of people, the ammo they're going to be shooting out of this would be better with a 14 or 15-pound recoil spring. The accuracy was good out of the box. It's hard to break the shot without disrupting the sights due to the heavy trigger, but mechanically it seems capable of 3-inch groups at 25 yards. I personally can't shoot any better than that anyways, so more accuracy would be lost on me. There were 2 reliability issues I had, nothing major. I don't consider that too bad for the first couple hundred rounds with varying ammo and magazine brands, and getting it really hot. Nothing there was too concerning that would lead me to believe failures would be occurring regularly, especially not after I tuned this thing up. Performance and value. Keep in mind this is just my opinion based on my own experiences. If you've ever shot a Rock Island Armory GI 1911 that was like $400, I think it kind of shoots like that. These are production guns with no hand fitting or fine tuning before leaving the factory. I think maybe because they are, 2011, people expect that they will perform better. They don't. You have to pay more for that. What you're paying for is the double stack platform, a bull barrel, and an optic mount. And to me, those things are not quite worth, $450 or $500 more than a bare bones production single stack 1911. Hell, an optic mount should not be a feature anyone has to pay extra for on a pistol at this point. Like I've seen with the TSOS price dropping from $750 to $600, I would expect the prices on these to drop as well. I don't recommend anyone pay $1,000 for this. $850 even seems a bit steep to me. I would like to see the price of these come down to like $700 or $750. That's just what I think they're worth. This was a solid buy for me at $850. I'll buy a few parts and do a full tune-up and trigger job, and it will perform really good. I also do prefer bull barrels and will pay extra for those. If you want a higher performing double stack 1911 out of the box and don't want to upgrade it, don't buy this. If you want a double stack 1911 and don't care so much about performance or are going to upgrade it and improve it yourself, then this one's a fine option. But keep in mind, the TSOS is $200 to $250 less right now. If the price drops on this to $750 and the TSOS is still around $600, then that extra $150 will be a good deal for the addition of the optic plate and bull barrel, in my opinion. I hope this video was interesting and helpful. Leave any questions you may have or any experiences you have with this or other budget double stack 1911s in the comments. Thanks so much for watching.